So Paris, here we are in Ausculum. Paris got a lucky shot ending last turn off the die roll of doom. He took advantage of that bullet catcher by swarming some more of his heavy troops up and building something like a line. Is it perfect? No, not at all. He's got a couple of attacks that are taking place that'll help strengthen it. I wandered away in the middle of them for some reason. But okay, once that line clears up, things will look, or if that line clears up, things look a lot better. And yeah, there's still an exposed flank out here. There's only so much you can do, but it definitely repaired his situation a great deal. Well, the Roman Cav's done a number on that hastily constructed line. They found a couple of locations to get a flank attack in anyway, and they've really broken it up. Roman infantry, however, charged the spears head on and turned around and charged right back. But yeah, the Greek advances were ephemeral. They now have a phalanx sitting out in the middle of nowhere still. A bunch of units routing. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to hold up. And the numerical advantage of the Cav over there at this point is just so high that any kind of offensive action is questionable, because I have nothing to screen myself with. I've got one routed Cav somewhere or another, I think this guy. And that's all that's left over there that's fast enough to handle. And on the other hand, all the Roman Cav is over here. We've still got a lot of Greek Cav. It's just back here. Alright. Looks like I think it's going to be another Roman turn, because I think I'm out of Greek 3 leaders. Never sure. I'm always losing track of who's where. Into the second to last turn, and we've got some pretty serious losses here. The Romans picked themselves up 55 points more. I mean, both armies are close to breaking, right? The Greeks, 40, 80, 110. No, I'm sorry. I'm miscounting these. Son of a bitch. Okay, I totally screwed up my route points, because I've been multiplying movement for some reason. Because it's more prominent, whatever. God damn it. So that was only 30 for the Romans. And, I mean, everything's in mistake here. So yeah, that's going to be 42, 67. You know what I'm going to do? I've got all my routed units, and all my dead units here. I'm going to recount the totals, and I'll come back with that. How about on the field, though? The game may be over. No, I think I've been mainly charging more per route unit. Great. Okay. On the field, we see the Roman foothold here hard to dislodge. And as they move things over, they're going to be able to bring other units into play as the Greeks try to engage those. So it's a tough fight. The Greeks managed to rout one unit, but and they're regaining their own units back, rallying them. Over here, it's just ugly. The Roman Cav broke things up. Pyrrhus attempted to rally some units, and he destroyed a couple of them, which means he rolled 9s twice, actually. So yeah, it's not looking good. Anyway, I'll do the cleanup, and we're gonna have one routed unit. This guy's gonna be gone, and then I'll count total route points, and we'll see how bad it actually is. Alright, okay, so we come back to somewhat more reasonable numbers. Greeks at 407, Romans at 345. A lot further from ending the battle I mean, if the losses were as high as they were after one day, I would seriously be considering not pressing the attack as Pyrrhus, with him in the loss column that far. How bad is it? It's pretty bad, but we'll see. All right, one more turn, and then we get to go to the next day of the battle, and it's definitely a mess over here. Not just for the Greeks. I mean, the Romans they're trying to impose some kind of order with this second line here, but it's rough. It's hard. They don't have sort of that natural formation left anymore. And charging forward and engaging, it's hard because you don't have the next line ready necessarily. In both cases, and perhaps in the game in general, there's a lot that's more than just the mechanics to learning how to use the units in a historically accurate fashion, and I think I'm failing pretty hard on that. It's a tricky situation because you see a flank open or something and you want to run out and grab it. Well, maybe that's not the best move because that's probably throwing that unit away. It's always been an issue I've had with these Ancients games, is that breaking apart your formation may be a heavier cost than whatever you're gaining from it. With the terrain here, though, it's so tough to keep a formation together that it seems difficult not to break it apart anyway. So good old Decius Mus launched his final infantry attack and really kind of crushed a few, sent them flying. But it's pretty clear the Romans are not going to clear this hill, but the Greeks aren't going to either. It's going to be shared. So there's not going to be any points given for that. Over here we saw a massive cavalry assault on the Roman position, and it drove a couple of the lighter units back. Gave almost as good as it took, but again, they're not going to push them off the foothold, but it doesn't look like the Romans are going to increase that foothold at all. There's not a lot left to go. All I've got is most just went, so I've got Alexander and Sulpicius, and then of course Pyrrhus, and that's it. And there's just not enough leaders nor enough time to do much here. Okay, so this is our final position. I counted the points up. Greeks have losses of 544 to Romans 372. Now the game is not that bad. It's 805 for the Greeks, so I think they're going to try to make another day of this. Let's see what the bonuses are. First of all the counters will come off the map and get reset up. Anything that's routed would have a chance of rallying, but I think everybody cleaned those up at the end of the turn. There was very little else to do of any value. We had a loss that way, but it's a better chance of rallying than what it appears to be if you leave routed units on the map. Okay, so a number of things happen. One, the Romans switch, sort of tag team type thing. Sulpicius is now in charge of the army, and Decius Mus has become, sort of this extra dude, which is cool. That's you want him going first, I think. Okay. The next big thing is we have to look to see who gets the advantage, and Pyrrhus got troops over onto the across the river. There are at least 20 unrouted size units of Romans. I've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I could have gotten another one over in addition. So I'm going to give the Romans that bonus. I was really sloppy at the end. So they get a +1 to their die roll, and they'll use red. Paris does not have 50 unrouted points at north of the river. The Romans did not move the Triarii. And neither side is double the other side's route points. I remember there being, here we go. If there are no unrouted Romans south of the river and east of the stream, yeah, there's no bonus there. Okay, so the Romans have a +1 here. And it's a tie. I wonder what that means. Says roll again. Okay, that sounds fair. Okay, so the Romans are going to get the deployment advantage. That means the Greeks are going to be forced to be fighting under the same circumstances as they just fought. Whew, boy. You know, I don't know if Pyrrhus would put his army through that. I mean, he's got to beat through the Romans. Let me think about this for a little while off camera, and then I'll decide. I think I'm going to call this one. Yeah, I'm going to call this one. Looking at the point total, Pyrrhus is 250 points away from breaking. Rome is nearly 300 points from breaking. That means that Pyrrhus not only has to take the offensive, because, I mean, yeah, he could just sit there and say, hey, the game's a draw, the game's a draw. I haven't lost my army yet, and you have to attack me, which, honestly, the way the scenario is written, there's no reason he can't say that. But looking at the historical situation, he has to get across. He has to get to Rome. There's a Roman army in his way. This was what he judged his best way of getting through, and he failed. He didn't get that neat little trick. There might be some sort of engagement here in an attempt to do it, but it didn't happen. And now he's going to be stuck in the same position, trying to fight his way through across that river that he couldn't get across. And I just don't buy that Pyrrhus would do that, to tell you the truth. I don't buy that he's willing, name or not. No, seriously, he was horrified by the losses. I don't believe that he would push his army in what is really an unwinnable situation here. Sure, there's a possibility. He's a better leader. A lot of those losses were on phalanx units, and those are a real pain in this terrain. But still, the phalanxes are actually slightly advantaged against the legionaries, at least on the attack, and the regular heavy infantry is at a disadvantage. He's got his cav, but I don't know. Oh, geez, I don't know. Yeah. Sure. He's going to take one last stab. Because here's the problem. If he walked away from this battle in defeat, he's lost. He has lost the war. That is the one issue. Because his allies are just going to fall away from him. And losing his army is one thing. I mean, if it's completely unwinnable, but as soon as I started beginning to think of ways that maybe I could play this differently, I want to fight it out. All right. We'll give it another shot with a different set of tactics.